Good morning, people. Good morning. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. And today, what was that? I think it's Thursday, November 10, 2022. And the time is about 6:17 in the morning in the good old AM. Yes, that's, I think, 6:36 a.m. today. I think it's sunrise. So around that time, let's say happy sunrise. Yes, yes, I'm indoors. I'm not outside during this upcoming sunrise. Yeah, I enjoy experiencing sunrise. Um, I love when it's still kind of dark outside and then you see the sky slightly glowing and getting more intense, the light. Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I was in the park one time with this transition. It's absolutely beautiful when you're in a garden, in a forest, and everything starts. It's a really weird effect. You see the stillness in the air, and then you see that the light is increasing more and more and more, and then boom, full light. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I love it. Yeah, I love it. So, yeah, if you have an opportunity to be outside in a nice, safe park, if it's safe to do so, to experience this transition from dark to light, to hear the birds sing and all that. It's very, very beautiful. Yes, good morning, people. So, what I want to talk about today, boy, I feel like it's been a while since I did a live stream. Some days it seems like, I may not always do a live stream every day. Sometimes I take a 1 or 2 day breaks, or if it's something with my channel and I'm on a timeout, you know, um, maybe it might be a week or something or two. But sometimes it feels a little different when you come back on. So um, yeah, one of the videos that I did, it was in between the third, October 31st. Oh, if I said it was October, I meant to say November. It's November 10, 2022. Just in case I misspoken. You know, um, one of my videos I did, it was done between October 31st and November 6th. It's missing. And I thought it was odd. And then I had gone on a different browser and then I see it. So it's okay. So it is here. So it's really weird why you would see something in one live stream, I mean, in one browser, but not another. Yeah, but that particular one, and surprisingly, that one, because I do my videos the same way, same tablet, same. So what happened that was a little controversial one um, to talk about that. To try to bring light that yes, there are um, social awareness between these two different communities. Yes, good morning, live here. Yes, good morning, welcome, welcome. Yeah, and I thought, for dialogue, that's what I said, let's have a dialogue. Let's explain why certain perceptions of different groups toward other groups. Why is it such? And I made examples of things, I spoke of examples, things that happened to me in my personal life, and how these things could bring about a feeling of static. You always need dialogue, respectful dialogue in any matter if you want to correct the matter or try to get healing in a matter. So, anyways, what do I want to talk about today? I hope you can hear me, the audio. I hope it's all good. Um, I came across a video on an individual. I've heard of this man's name, a young man. He seems young. He might actually be 40 or late 30s. Yeah, he might be. Yeah, he's 39 actually. That's right. I think it's 39 or yeah, 39 I think. And they're cult-like personalities out there, and they're cult-like personalities, and if you get sucked up in it, it could be very dangerous. And I found the material very troubling. Yeah, I've heard of the individual. I'm not sure whether I want to mention the name. Yeah, the person got arrested. They got arrested. The arrest happened 6 months ago. 6 months ago in America. Yeah, I think it happened here in America. Yeah, 6 months ago. Because when I looked on the time stamp of that when that video was aired, when it announced that so and so got arrested, that was 6 months ago. And I was surprised that it didn't, like usually I get like referrals of videos. YouTube has a list of videos, recommendations, and that one didn't hit. But yet the videos with the recent basketball player and that popular singer, that was being pushed in my face. I couldn't help but see those recommend. There were many recommendations to watch those recent ones over the past 4 weeks. Yeah. So, but this new individual, um, this other individual who was arrested about 6 months ago. I might as well give the name because it's public knowledge that the person was arrested. Um, he goes by the name. Oh God, what's his name again? Oh, how could I forget his name? Nature Boy. That's right. His name is Nature Boy. Have you guys heard of him? Now I've heard of him only from a YouTuber. I'm not going to mention the name of the YouTuber, but this female YouTuber brought up his name and showed a picture of him and certain behaviors. And that was a couple of years ago. I believe it was before COVID, before all that. So it's over 2 years ago. It could have been 3 years, even 3, 4 years ago. And so I was saw the video on it. Oh yeah. Someone made mention of him, and said, "I know that name." And so I looked him up to see if it was true that this person was arrested. And I saw him wearing I think it was wearing the orange suit, in court. And he was arrested for, there were several things, but the main thing is some words I don't want to say over YouTube. he a sexual violation. Let me just say that, and holding someone against their will. So I keyed in his name to find anything about him, like because when I learn of a topic or something, I read, I watch several videos on that particular incident or individual or event, and I what is going on, people? What is going on? Um, it seems like with social media that it can get to your head, and people could become popular virtually overnight. It seems like the formula or formulae of success in YouTube or all those other social media is to be as vulgar as you can, to be as vulgar and perverted and potty mouth. The more extreme, the more your followers. And I'm dumbfounded that you have young women. And I don't mean to sound sexist, but we all live in this social environment. We're social beings, whether we may like certain events or not. But these were young, attractive women who are under this man's spell. And I think why I word it like that, because the premise that, hey, some women may not be as so-called socially considered as attractive as another person under the same social environment, and because of the scarcity of finding a mate, may be more inclined to tolerate things that violate their space. So if nothing is really violating these women's spaces of attractability, why would they stay? Well, these ladies stayed and are called wives. About 6 women. And when I began to watch, I think it was the first video, because I was just curious, what's going on? Why was he arrested? What happened? Well, they have videos, in-house videos. So the people who are taking the videos are members of that organization. They call themselves Carbon Nation. But actually, when they explain what they mean, Carbon Nation. Well, this is a black group, a black American group. And I think first they call themselves Melanation because they're all, so-called black people. And then Carbon Nation, because carbon, is a 6 carbon molecule. And I guess the numerology of the number 6. So it sounds like suggesting the occult, the number 6 is an occult number. And in the Bible, they talk about that number 6 as man's number, or 666 as the devil's or Satan's number. Okay? So him pairing himself with the number 6 and maybe suggesting the negative aspect of that, of what that number might be associated with. And his behavior, yeah. Um, yeah, when the YouTuber that spoke of his name several years ago, uh, I was surprised at the behavior. He was, I think, he was living in some tropical place. I think it was Hawaii. Yeah, I think he was in Hawaii with members, and they were wanted to kick him out or something. It was some place. I could be wrong about the place, but it was some tropical place, and people wanted him out. And yeah, I think it could have been Hawaii because I lived in Hawaii before, many years ago, about 20, uh, over 20 years ago, that I was there. And I went by myself there to get a job there. So I think that was also my interest is why I lived there. You know, I know how the people are in Hawaii, you know, what are they saying about him, you know, because it is you know, they're people of color. And so who is outing him? You know, I was just curious in a social standpoint because I used to live in Hawaii. So I think that's why it initially caught my attention, you know. Um, yeah, and yeah, he left. And when I saw today, yesterday's video about him, and there was someone had their camera, you know, it was recording, uh, an arrest to the home he was living in. He was living in a very nice house in a, you know, one of those, I forget when it's like the end of the block, a close-up, I forget the name, a cul-de-sac. Yeah, a quiet little block, a big, beautiful house. And now I don't know whether he physically owns it or he rents out the house. That I don't know. Yes, good morning, Kendrick. Good morning, good morning. Yes, good morning, all. It's always good to hear from you guys. Yes. So, yeah, I'm talking about a Nature Boy. I just heard a story about him yesterday, and I stayed up late watching uh, different stories about him. They were quite shocking, so I just wanted to just talk about that. Just general talk. You know, he's considered a cult individual, and yeah, I would say, in my opinion, that he does cult-like things of controlling people, controlling minds of people using coercion. And the videos that I was watching were from videos that his entourage took. And it just had me shocked. And I was thinking to myself, dude, do you know that they're filming you as you're doing these very questionable things to these people and these women? And I became shocked when he had 6 women, young, very attractive women, very slender, very what they call socially considered attractive, wearing nice clothes, and yeah, they all seem like they, to me they looked like they were in their late teens, early 20s type. And he tells one woman to slap another woman and use pejoratives terms regarding women, and to slap the person hard across the face. And they just did it. My mouth dropped when I saw that. My mouth dropped in horror watching this. Now, again, I heard about this individual, pre-COVID times from a female YouTuber. Um, that is dangerous. But interesting. In one of the other videos, like they did a whole, took a lot of clips. The video was like 4 hours long. I think this one was. Anyway, they included many videos within it. And oh, what was the thing now with that? Oh, I can't stand when I'm losing my train of thought. Oh, what was that? It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Um, what would make women listen to this? Listen to this individual. Um, oh, I remember. In one of these videos, it has him saying, he was very cocky, very, very cocky he was. And he said that he worked for the government. And I believe that. I believe that. Yeah, he's cocky, he's, full of himself. And he said, I will, you can't really touch him because he works for the government. And to watch, like Jim Jones. You guys remember, the story about Jim Jones? He was a cult leader. He started out in the U.S. He was a white man actually, and most of his following were poor black Americans. And he convinced them to leave the U.S. Hear that, people? Leave the U.S. And he went to Guyana. And that's the place where the people committed suicide or killed through the Kool-Aid. So sometimes you hear people say, don't drink the Kool-Aid. That's the event that they're referring to. And over 800 people died in that one event. You have a handful of survivors. I think about 4 survivors. One of which he was shot badly. He was on the airstrip, where the planes were, and he was shot, and then he played dead, and that's how he got out. You have these charismatic people, and I believe they said that he actually worked for the government, that they were doing experiments, social experiments. They were doing social experiments. And it's like they seem to carry the same formula of behavior. And that's why I actually believe his words when he says that he worked for the government. I believe that. And they want to see how far they can go to destroy a population. And just the behavior. I mean, you see his. I mean, it just looked sicko. People, do you hear what I'm saying? Have any of you been in a cult? And again, these are young American women. And how they get money. How did they, that now, I didn't see anything yet about how what was the ins and out of money. Because again, when you have an organization, you need money to keep it going. And so they mentioned something like I don't know what this stands for, but any of you who know, like they mentioned in one part that he got money from the PPP loans. Does anybody know what a PPP, the P as in Peter, triple P as in Peter, PPP loans? I do not know what that is, but you, they had money. I don't know whether the people paid their own way when they went from Hawaii back to the U.S. mainland, and his last day, I think, was Florida. It could have been Florida. No, 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 no. Maybe it was Georgia. Those of you who know, what was it, Georgia? His arrest, DeKalb County. I never heard of that, DeKalb County. Is that Georgia or is that Florida? Please let me know. So yeah, he had his arraignment in DeKalb County, and the amount of money that it had to take, because see, everything that you do in life, you need money to do so. You need money to travel. You need money for clothing. And the women were all dressed very nicely. They had their hairs nicely done, so they have to go get your hair done. That costs money. Um, and it amazes me because many of you know that I had wanted to move, but you have to be able to travel with your money, people. You can't just, pick up and go. And it's not like they have a business over there. So you need to carry money with you and spend it, be able to spend it. You need liquid assets. How they're doing this, I don't know. But yeah. So it makes me think that somebody is running the show behind the scene, that maybe they had accountants who paid up everything. Um, yeah, how, and they don't seem very well educated either. So I'm just speculating. Someone had to be controlling that money, and they had a clipping, a video clip. They had initially a couple of years back. He had a white following. He had people from Europeans, white Europeans, in his organization, members, at least hung out with him. And one video was showing this one young girl, I think from Canada, and she had to leave because it was getting too intense. Her parents were demanding their daughter back, and the daughter had left the parents willingly because she didn't want to be. The parents had forced her to go on these drugs because she mentioned that she wanted to leave home. And she eventually leaves and in this guy's organization, and then she leaves to save the peace because the parents were really getting um, more edgy. So that I didn't know that he had white members, and some of the things that were being said, like the um, have them to say that the black man is God and things like that. Had this white guy have to uh, bow down in front of him, flat on the floor. Uh, he, would demand respect and control, but yet he was disrespectful to his members. What would make a woman in particular do this to allow a man or individual to control your body? There were things of him grabbing of this woman, and I think it might have been that woman that uploaded some of the videos. Yeah, she had a baby. Yeah, she had a baby by him, and one of the scenes shown was not a pretty scene. Him prevented her to leave, and he wanted her to leave the baby. It was a little, an infant, a couple of months old, and she was screaming on the top of her lungs. Um, the videos again are many clips of different events, and he's now arrested. They did show the video of him being arrested. First, the cops said, "Oh, you're not arrested." Then they said, "Well, why are you putting us in handcuffs?" Which is a good point. Um, but either way, the camera was rolling of his arrest, and the people were being handcuffed there. I didn't see any women handcuffed, but the video shows that there were men, males in his organization that were being handcuffed. What would make a lady stay? Oh yeah, once his arrest, which was 6 months ago, some of the former members were speaking out, and they were speaking out that they didn't they didn't want to speak out, but they saw what was going on. One of them, the women, she didn't like that. Yeah, she had just had the baby, and had one of the other wives hold the baby for her. Yeah, he wasn't according to the video, that she wasn't allowed to get prenatal care. She was only allowed once prenatal care to find out the sex of the baby, and that his goal seemed to be that he wanted to get the other women pregnant eventually, and that the offspring, his offspring, that these children will marry themselves. So this is siblings, half siblings. He wanted to be as husband and wife. This is really perverted. And reminds me of the guy that, Jeffrey Epstein, uh, about just before COVID. He was arrested for human trafficking, and he was interested in having his genetics be put into these women to form uh, like an elite group. With him, Jeffrey Epstein, you know, I'm thinking that, not that he was thinking about doing it. I believe that he probably already did it. You know how the media is when they say, "Oh, so and so is said to, he did invest in these different technologies, these eugenics technologies, and that he wanted to do this." Yeah, he already had the women for, I think, over 20 years. So for the 20 years, you don't think that he did it? Where it's just a matter of time that you're going to find out. That my instincts say that, not that he was talking about it, but that he did it. That's what I believe. And so with this guy, Nature Boy, he wanted to, again, the theme, that same theme, having his genetics into these women to produce children. Doesn't this sound like a psyop, a government thing? Yeah, that's why I believe he is telling the truth about him working for the government, yes. And he's so cocky that he doesn't care what he says publicly. He definitely didn't care, having on tape very damaging statements. Um, and interesting that they mostly showed the women, that he would order the women to do things against the other women, like they're mind control. Like they just had a straight face, and they would do whatever he says. But then now that he's in jail, this nature boy, some of the women are speaking out that they didn't believe it, and one of them started really fighting back, and that's the video you show of him grabbing her with the baby in her arms. She was speaking out. Um, be careful. Um, it seems like I heard that there is the worship gene in humanity, that it was programmed in people many, many years back, prehistory, and that it allows us to believe in anything outside of yourself, to look up to. We have to start looking up to ourselves. Yeah, we give a lot of credit to people. Now, there's nothing wrong of inspiring someone to do bigger and better things. Um, but to actually allow someone to rule over you, to violate you, is another story. What could make a young woman do this? The same thing with, what's his name? Helter Skelter. What's his name? Yeah, he recently passed away. Oh, what's his name? The guy, he wanted to promote again a race war. And I think he also worked for the government. Oh, I forget his name. Real crazy guy. And again, he had his females, and he had his females do the actual MURDER. He physically didn't do that. He had his members do that, those things. See, they think they're clever. And he said, well, I didn't actually commit you know what? So-and-so did. But you authorized the hit. It seems like the more we have society, when we have society get richer and richer. Yeah, the U.S., you have, I'm sure you have some people who need food, but basically there's a lot of food in this country. There's drinking water, But in a country like that, to see that people are just, their mind is becoming so reprobate mind, a corrupt mind. We're becoming more and more corrupt. People who have opportunities for maybe going to school. If you're sick, you can just go into a hospital. If it's a city hospital, they have to treat you. Yeah, you have people from other countries coming in, are pregnant, and having the system take care of their kids. what is making some of these women do this? People, you have to really examine why are we looking, I mean, why are we looking for something outside of ourselves and follow someone who, um, we always talk about freedom, right? And in the Black community, we also always talk about what other people have done to us historically, right? These historical events that happened 400 years ago, 500 years ago. But what are we doing to ourselves now? These people from 400, 500 years ago, they're dead. They're long gone. What are you doing now to yourself? It seems like you get a so-called leader-like figure, and then rather than following a leader, you get someone who's actually exploiting you. Someone from your own so-called race. People from your own community, and you're allowing them harm. There are other people out there. What's that guy? That singer who's now in jail for, like R. Kelly, who seemed to be using the same type of formula and was abusing these people. And the aunt of one of his victims got pissed and outed him to the authorities. And rightly so, if he did all those things. What makes their mind like that? They're both like they're on a power trip. And you wonder, are some of these men in our communities, are they being programmed by certain government officials? Are they being under a mind control thing? Look at Kanye West. Okay? Now, I never heard Kanye West doing an abuse thing. But the same type of, just kind of out there. I think that they are all being programmed. What do you guys think? You think that some outside force is really influencing them, their behaviors? Yeah, this is quite sad that we're looking for a hero, we're looking for a savior, and we talk about history that was done upon us, but the current people, many of the people in the current situations are exploiting you. Worse than what happened, it seems, from 500 years ago, 400 years ago, 300 years ago. You just tell someone, oh, go slap somebody, and say that they're God, and have them repeat that they are God. Why do you feel a need to say that you are God? If you are God, why do you have people supporting you? Why aren't you supporting them? These people are giving you money, and you're abusing them. It's quite sad. This social media is allowing people, to become their own little gods. Am I right? Am I not right? You can become a popular social media character, and you can start bringing in the money. Yeah, I used to watch this other individual. I'm not going to mention his name. Um, it was a couple of years back in 2017. I was getting into gardening. I wanted to um, have like plants all over my home. I live in an apartment, and I wanted edible plants, surrounded by edible plants at home, and use it in my cooking. You know, like different herbs, like parsley and basil. You know, I even tried to grow watermelon in my place. I even bought a plant light to try to do it. Some things, people, it's better to bring it outside. Yeah, it was a learning experience. Yes, watermelon does not grow well indoors, even with a plant light. It thrives on sun, natural sun, okay? I could laugh about it now. But yeah, I was really into this nature. I wanted to be around nature. Um, yeah, I didn't know about the Ramble yet. The Ramble in Central Park. Yeah, so back then, I just walked around in the city, you know. I live in New York City, those of you who are new on board. Yeah, I live in New York City, and I would just kind of walk around, but I wasn't really into, you know, the park yet. But I wanted to grow, you know, plants in my home, edibles at home. So, yeah, so early 2017, I found this YouTuber who was into gardening. Yes, he owned a property, you know, yeah, he owned a property on the West Coast, and he had like a roof garden of edibles, and I thought his work was fantastic. And I remember writing him on, you know, in the comment section of the video that I enjoyed his work, and he reminded me of a happy time when I was a little girl, and I was learning about gardening from my father, and it was just um, I saw him like a father figure. Yeah, he's just a little older than me. He's not much older, but he is older than me. And he responded very nicely. Um, he just seemed very mature minded, very, very, you know, very well respected in the plant community, the natural garden community. Yeah. And then slowly something started to happen. He started to get erratic in his behavior, and he was saying that people were writing to him, you know, emailing him. Because in his, you know, comments section, I never, you know, the people who would write were all gardeners, so people want to get into gardening. That's all that I saw, but he had an email, and he said individuals were bothering him, and it turned out he is a member of a particular religious belief, and it seemed like he was losing his mind. And this went on for over a year, I think. Yeah, because I used to watch, and then I said to him, hey, buddy, what's going on here? I mean, it was like night and day, people. Night and day. This person was like a father figure, very mature. You know, he was in the military. You know, he's a veteran, and um, just an outstanding looking and acting individual who was an organic. You know, who he planted organic seeds and everything, and he showed how to make certain foods out of it. It was very positive. But slowly and slowly, I think by 2018, something was happening, and he was getting erratic. And again, when I wrote to him, he was doing a live stream, and so I said, hey, what's wrong? Yeah, I see that I'm losing people here with this this individual. But people, um, don't feel bored about what I'm saying. Use this as an example so that you be able to see the signs. This person that I'm referring to from 2017 when I first was introduced, this is an adult man, older than me, and how their personalities could change overnight. And then he started to have like cult-like behaviors. This is what I'm trying to get at. He started to talk like in cult thing, like what Nature Boy started talking about. He was talking about. Um, he he had this religious Old Testament guideline. Again, this is not an attack on the Bible, but that he was exploiting the Old Testament laws and all that to control primarily women. He was offering people land, and first he was saying, "Oh, I'm going to give away land, and but only to like women with children." Okay, what about the men? Aren't any of these women with men? Who gets these women pregnant? So again, he was attracting what sound like desperate women who have young children, promising them land to live on. What do you think he's going to get in return? You know what I'm saying, people? And it was just weird. And then he started saying, yeah, uh, to give him money, and that he has over 1,000 acres, but that it's no guarantee that he'll really give you land. And if you think that he's going to give you the deed, you got to think again. He says, donating money to my group is not going to guarantee you uh, the purchase of land, and I'm not going to give you the deed. So if you don't get the deed to the property, then it's not your land, and he's just receiving the money as a donation to his group, not that you're purchasing land. So it was getting more and more corrupt, in my opinion, the mindset. So here you have someone who is an outstanding individual, and then getting erratic about this religious philosophy, and then asking women who have children are the only ones that can live on his property. It was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And then he then says that he's going to shut down his channel. So I believed him that he was going to shut it down. So I stopped, watching his videos, because he's not going to have it anymore. So I just kind of went on my way as a viewer. And then I think maybe a year later, I was, oh yeah, I have to back up. What was going on with this older YouTuber, even though he said he was going to shut down his channel, he didn't shut it down. He only changed the name of his channel. Okay, get this. This is important. So you have people, when things start to get a little tight, I mean, this is what it looked like, when it looked like on the surface, that pretty much his goose was cooked, was his behavior and the things he was saying and doing on camera. And so he wants to separate himself from, so that people don't realize it's the same person by the channel name. Yeah, that's what he did. So I was still getting, I never discontinued subscribership to his channel. And so I was noticing I was getting these referrals to this particular YouTuber. I didn't recognize the name and I didn't feel like looking at it. But I noticed that it kept on popping up as if I was a member, a subscriber. Well, so I went and looked. I opened the video and I saw it was the same guy. So why I say this is that, see, people who really don't want to, who um, are exposed to what they are, they may try to change their name to disguise themselves of who they are, or they call themselves by another name, but it's the same individual and the same type of control tactics. And then he did another 180-degree change, so I stopped watching him because it was just erratic. And he said something to me, like when I asked, hey, what's going on? In a live stream, I asked, hey, what's going on and what's bothering you? I knew of you from way back in 2017, you're saying things that are so different from back then. What's going on because you're not telling us what's going on. And he got angry at me and had his wife, and it turned out he had more than one wife. He had more than one wife, and he had, I guess, his lead wife um, to argue with me in a comment section. I don't talk to anybody's wife. We've always talked, me and the guy, and just like many of the other viewers, just like I'm doing a live stream now, you have anybody who can write a comment and they can write back, in the comment section. Everything was always up front, in the open, okay? Even my very first writing to him was in the comment section of a video. I never emailed. So everything's out in the open. So if it was okay for me to communicate then in the comment section, why can't I write in the comment section now? And now your wife has to defend you. It was just very bizarre. Very, very, very bizarre. I never experienced anything like this. If you only saw the individual, how he was an outstanding mature gentleman in age and experience. And he was a grown man with grown children, adult children. And how someone can change overnight. What is happening? Again, he was in the West Coast. And I'm wondering whether there might be targeting or experimenting on various people of the Black community because the behavior is so similar. This control over women, this super control and dominance over women, and using maybe Old Testament law that you got to follow God, the man is this and that, and the woman is, that. Well, it seems to be the same scenario. And whatever happened to this older gentleman, he did another turnaround. He removed all his old content, the whole thing. He deleted everything, and now he's back to his old self, his old persona of being the nice older guy who is a gardener. Totally blew my mind. And again, I'm not going to mention his name. Yeah, I haven't seen him on YouTube in ages. Yeah. Um, so I don't know whether this was like an experiment that was being done upon him and his group because he was obtaining land. So start noticing with some of these cult leaders on social media. Are they asking for money? Are they only saying that only women with children could live in this land? Um, what are the rules? Start noticing these things so that when you see this thing happening, get out. Get out. Because in the end, it seems to be the same thing. And the common denominator is that if you're a woman in this group, you know, they're going to require you to marry, you have multiple wives. You want to get involved with that? Why would you want that? Be wary of these men that want to have multiple wives in America. One thing, you're from a traditional tribe in some third world place, and this is not an insult to third worlds. But I mean, in the debate, like if you live like on a farmland, you know, you're farmers, you live off the land, you know, that's how you live for generations. You've been in that land for hundreds and hundreds of years, and this is, you know, a traditional society. You don't really have public schools, and everybody is a farmer or hunter, and so maybe having more than one wife, so-called wife, is how it works in your society. But you're in a so-called first world nation where you have food, water, you know, education and things. You know, that system is not as required. Be very careful, women. Be very careful of any group that requires you to get involved sexually with someone to stay in the group. Why wait for somebody to buy your land? Buy yourself land. Save your own money and buy your own property. Be the queen of your home. Don't let anybody, a man or a woman, to exploit you physically or sexually. Be very wary. Try to find out about the person's background. What happened in the person's background? If this person doesn't respect their parents, whatever, they're not going to respect you. I'm going to repeat that. If these individuals don't respect their own parents, they're not going to respect you. Yeah, so it just seems like these experiments, I think they're experiments being done on certain people in certain groups, or they are infiltrated. They are infiltrated. And the corruption just gets more and more problematic. Yeah. And again, it's so bold that they're showing it on social media. So they get so cocky that they it goes to their head, people. Why is it that people, you know, I notice another correlation. It seems like these organizations, these new organizations, are using ancient Egypt or the early Bible days as a lure to lure people. Yeah, a lot of black, you know, a lot of American blacks are raised in the church, you know, the Protestant churches primarily, or Pentecostal, things like that primarily. So they're already exposed to religion, and then they want to start a group about this ultra religion, ultra spirituality. And they seem to be preoccupied with these, I'm going to say it, ancient Egypt, ancient Bible, And they want to use that as a template of control and as a template of what real spirituality is all about. Real spirituality doesn't control women, it doesn't control men, and that they become robots. That is not spirituality. That, in my opinion, is not spirituality. And when it controls what you can eat, where you can sleep, who you marry, be careful. But you see that it seems to use this. They're preoccupied with the pyramid. Yeah, a lot of these black speakers. Yeah, there's even yeah, there's even another individual, not to mention that, but they're into this Egyptian history, ancient, what they call Kemet, ancient Kemet, and they love these have pyramids around them, or they do that that triangle thing with their hand, or they cover their eye. Again, a preoccupation with a dead society. Ancient Egypt is gone. And the only thing they got with ancient Egypt are those dust, things written on the wall, and the so-called, ancient technologies they may have had. Well, it ain't there now. I've been to Egypt when I was in the military. And it's no offense to the people. They're just regular people, but it's a poor country. And the lives of the people, you know, I mean, the only thing where that country really has going for itself are the tourists, the tourist section. That's the only thing people go there for. If those pyramids were not there, I don't think people would be visiting that country. I repeat, if those pyramids were not there, that would be it has nothing else going for it. But people are going there because of the Bible, the stories in the Bible. And this one person had a point about something. This is very important with regard to the Bible. Again, your belief system is your belief system. You believe what you want to believe. If it edifies you, then you serve it. If it serves you, you serve it. But this individual, this person who likes to study about the ancient Egyptians and all that, had a point about something. He mentioned that two different events, that the King James Bible was written in 1611. And then he mentioned that this European, forget the name, some French name, got to translate some scripture where they make mention of Ramesses. Okay, this is a key thing, Ramesses. So he pointed out, he says, how could, if this French guy in the 1822, if this French guy first translated these particular scriptures or whatever, these Bible accounts of this man named Ramesses, so how could he mention that, which again, this was the first time really that Europeans really were starting to enter Egypt in the 1800s or the late 1700s under Napoleon. Okay? Everything's under sand, right? Everything was under sand. The Sphinx was under sand. You just saw the top of the head, something like that. And Okay, so you have the 1800s and then you have the 1600 when the Bible, the King James Version was written. And that in the King James Bible, that the name Ramesses was mentioned. So he said, how could this be true? Now, if the scripture, if this particular text or, was translated for the first time in the 1800s, how could it in the 1600 Bible it mention the same name when the name was just translated? So he was saying that he thinks the Bible was like they made up a story, and then he said that it was backdated, as being from a particular time. And so that made him suspicious about people who claim to be members of those people of the Bible. And I just heard that for the first time yesterday. I said, that person has a point. Yeah, that person really, people, doesn't this make sense? If again, I'm not a Bible scholar. I don't speak ancient Bible languages. But if that is true, if something is being translated, these Europeans are translating the scripture stuff from the 1800s, but then you have another European group in 1611. So how were they able to translate? So there's a conflict of information. Again, I don't know. I'm not a historian, but it made him start to think about: is somebody lying about certain things, or are they just saying that it says anything and then backdate it? And he had another point that how could you say that you were around in the Bible days of about, what was that, about 4,000 years ago in this land, 4,000 years ago, but then evidence, scientific evidence shows that the artifacts there was created, let's say, 15,000 years. Okay, so you hear what I'm saying? If something was created or made 15,000 years ago, but you have a Bible that says that you worked there 4,000 years ago. So you're saying that you helped create or build something that already existed thousands of years before. That was his point. That was his point. And I said, wow, I never thought about that angle. And I think someone else was made of that type of link. How could someone have, excuse me, my voice is going. How could someone claim that they are a part of something that existed many, many thousands of years before your existence? It seems like the Bible is being used as a template to control people. That's just my humble opinion about what scriptures around the world is being used as something that supposed to talk about a historical event that happened 4,000 years ago, 6,000, no more than 6,000 years ago. But the thing, that it doesn't compute the time. This thing going back way before. So is our history being created? Like, It's like you get to a point in life, a history in life, a development, a social development in life. It reaches its peak and then it's destroyed. And then it starts to rebuild again. And then you find the same scriptures, and people select what Bible character they want to identify with and say that you're that person, and then reach your apex, and then boom again. Is that is what happening? Is that happening? People claiming that they're particular people in history, but is it? Well, it's suggested by some that these scriptures are are accounts of much earlier works that are thousands and thousands of years old. And then people find them and they want to attribute their lives as being that. You notice now people are claiming to be people of the Bible, all these different groups. And it seems like they just don't have, like, there's nothing of value to them now. And they want to feel good about themselves. So they say, I'm this person in the Bible or this other literature, scriptures around the world. And they want to feel good about themselves. And then they start to exploit themselves and start to enslave one another and abuse labor. People put your own value on yourself. You don't have to read anything in history. And in fact, about DNA tests, now I got my DNA tested the third time, I did a family tree DNA and I did the African DNA, African tree DNA thing. I mean, what's it called? African history, African something, the only black owned one. I did that one relatively recent. I did it over the summer. And you know what I'm feeling about it? Like, I used to feel that you have to know your history, your DNA, and where you come from. You come from where you come from. What's really pressing is not so much how far back your history, it's what's happening now, people. What is happening now in your life? What's happening now? How do you control your life now? It is up to you to find dignity and purpose in your life. It is not up to any scripture to tell you what to think about yourself or how others to treat you. You treat yourself well. You put meaning, and I'm speaking to myself when I say this too. You put meaning in your life. You don't need any old book of any kind or any religion to tell you who you are. You are a human being. You have feelings. And you want to be treated well, so you make sure you treat people well. Treat people how you want to be treated. You don't need a book to tell you that. If you know you want love, give love. You want money, give money. Whatever what you want, you give. Hear that again. Whatever what you want in life, give it. And the universe will probably give you it back. Stop oppressing yourself with these religions or this DNA test. We're, who are we? Some of us are saying, "Oh, our history comes from slaves." Well, some of us were enslaved, but you got slaves right now. You have people on this planet who are being human trafficked, women who have no choice who they marry, and they're part of a harem. You have children's labor that are being um, exploited. Little children be exploited. Modern day, you don't need to look 500 years ago, 300 years ago, and blame so and so for oppression. You have people being oppressed right now of all races, all religions, all nationalities. Humanity is on a downfall. But I just say, hey, take a look in the mirror and say to yourself, I had enough of this. I had enough of this nonsense. I want out of this insanity. You have these, it's like a virus. And this virus is attacking the minds of the people. And it seems to be attacking the people who live in what I call a high society. That's my little dog. That's snoring. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. You hear my little doggy snoring? Yeah, it's just my little girl, my little Lilac. She's so sweet. Hey, Lilac, come on. Lilac, I hear you. Yeah, I had to wake her up a little bit. That is so funny. It was getting louder and louder. Yeah, my little baby girl, I love you. Yeah, so getting back. Yeah, people are, people's minds are being attacked. People are slowly, like a virus. And it's funny that the past 2 years, remember that pandemic? Remember that? Yeah, they're using this as excuse. They want you to become a new type of slave. They are doing these experiments. It seems like after World War II, you got these crazy people that were brought into the United States to do experiments on the human mind and body. And these creatures are still around doing experiments and are using these technology companies are getting people and putting plantables like you notice they're using the VR game, the virtual reality games, to get you hooked on that. They're getting you hooked on wearables like those smart watches, those things that you put in your ear, we call Bluetooth. And then the next step is they're going to put it inside your body. They're going to put these devices inside your body, in your mind, to control your mind. And then they're going to get you hooked to a computer. They're hooking the human mind to AI. They're connecting the human mind to the AI hive to control you, and this is the new slavery. AI. AI is just going to use your body like a machine, and it's a new slave, a robot, like a human robot. They're going to utilize your body and use the hive mind of AI to control everything about you. So, why the preoccupation with this genetics? Yeah, I first got my genetics done 13 years ago because I thought it was so important because I wanted to know who I was. They play on a lot of black people and white people too with this know your heritage. And you might be related to, and what do you call it, the Vikings, or Queen of Sheba, right? It's to entrap you, and it uses your ego to get it done, and so you can brag about your genetics, that you're somebody. But who are you now? Who are you now? Isn't that more important? Who you are now? I'm not living in Egypt. I'm not living in these exotic places. I live right here in New York City. And you have people who are taught to feel bad about themselves and want to use history of what your ancestors did. Your ancestors lived their lives and then they moved on. You know? You are you. And what your so called ancestors did, or what someone did to your ancestors, is a thing of the past. Each one of us have a past, a genetic past. Some of it good and some of it bad. But who you are is what you do with your life. We're now being so programmed by these devices. And yes, I'm on a device right now to film this. I am on a device to film this live stream. I don't want it to master me. Yeah, it's very addictive at times. I love watching videos. But don't you think maybe these devices are designed for you to become so dependent? I went to see a relative, a family member. And so I had to take the subway to get to where they live. And when I entered the subway, I see all these people on their cell phones. No one is talking to one another. Everybody is glued in their own world on this device. When I was a little girl, yeah, I'll be 60 years old, 60. I'll be 60 years old next month. And when I was a little girl, in the summer, well, I would go outside. I might ride my bike. I mean, it wasn't my bike. I had to share a bike. Or I'll go visit friends. There was no computer. There was no cell phone or smartphone. You want to talk to someone? Okay, if you had like a regular landline telephone, or you just walk over to the person's place, and if they open the door, fine. There were games also. There were games for girls and games for boys, like jump rope for girls, and maybe marbles for boys, things like that. There were games that were designed to develop your physical body, to exercise the body, to engage the mind, to be able to think and do. I used to have a paint by number set. Yeah, that's to develop your creative aspect. Yeah, I remember that. There were things that were to help you learn how to build things when I was a young girl. Yeah. Now they don't seem to have that. Everything is with, what do you call it, those electronic games. And it gets you edgy. Look at these people when they play those computer games, how violent they get. Start noticing this, people. Start noticing how it affects your behavior. Please, people, look at these games. It is designed to control you. It is designed to control you. So whether you have Nature Boy that I talked about in the beginning of this live stream, you don't think that he's being mind controlled? His behavior is erratic. And the other YouTubers, the black YouTubers, the men in particular, are cuckoo. Some of them they started out okay, and then it starts to get to their ego, and then this control thing against women and men, and then they have a meltdown. Yeah, this is a, I think, a psychological warfare upon the human mind, and it'll do and mess over anybody if it allows to. Yeah, start noticing people, and if you feel if you come up, you meet up with somebody that's seems to be preoccupied with the secrets of the pyramids and this and that. People, watch out. Those pyramids are not helping modern day Egyptians. It is not helping them. The only thing that it is supplying is tourism. That's it. It's not enlightening anybody there. I've been there to Egypt. Go in there and see how they treat one another, some of the people. Now, when I went there 30 plus years ago, I did enjoy myself there in the military there. It was a brief visit. It was the first time I on the continent of Africa. And basically, the people were okay. And to learn that modern day Egypt is not white people. These people are my color and darker. Okay, I'm a black woman, black American woman. And these people, many of them look like me. They have the same type of hair as me. The bigger bone than I am. But either way, uh, I would blend right into that society. If I dressed like them, whatever, I would, people would not know that I'm not from there. And they have to deal with modern day life. If it's not helping the modern Egyptian people, why are all these other people who don't even live there worshiping these relics? I should say these artifacts. I meant to say artifacts. You got to ask yourself, we're being fooled again. And yes, it feels real when you look at it. It feels real. It feels real to say, oh, I want to know about my ancient this and that. Yeah, it's very appealing. But see, if you have a life now, you're not going to be preoccupied with something that happened hundreds or thousands of years ago. They're seducing you, people, and not having you pay attention of modern day slavery. They are going to try to hook your mind with this AI that's going to be implanted in your body, in your brain, to control you, to get you to fight your members of your own home. They're using, in my opinion, the Bible as a template, the book of Revelation as a template of them, how they're going to try to control you. These wars and rumors of war, it's like a script, and they're just following the script. You're making it happen. There's a movie that talks about that, about what happens to you when you learn about your future. You have no future. It's the movie it's either called Payday or Paycheck. Maybe it's Paycheck. I forget. It has, who's the actor? Ben Affleck in it. It came out some years ago. It's a very entertaining movie. I did enjoy it. I bought the movie on iTunes. Yeah, you can get it on iTunes. It's by Ben Affleck is in it. It's semi funny, but what was that about? What he learns in the end of the movie? that when, see, he built a time machine in the movie. You know, the character in the movie had a time, helped build a time machine, and when he saw that the machine was going to be used to destroy humanity, when he had to be put back in time, and then how'd it go? Yeah, he got they erased his mind. Yeah, he went he was in this program for about 3 years, and then they erased his mind and they put him back to the modern time, you know, and he had to present himself clues, because see, they erased his mind because they didn't want him to remember what he was a reverse engineer, and they didn't want him to remember the technology, so they erased his mind and put him back on. But he set himself clues so he would eventually remember and save humanity. And what he learned at the end is that when you know your future, you have no life, you have no future. And I think that's what the Bible or scripture is all about. If they tell you, oh, this is your future, destruction, that's what you're going to gravitate to. You understand? And that's what's happening. If you believe in an Armageddon, you're going to create an Armageddon life. And that's why it's so powerful, and why speaking into your life is so powerful. If you present in your life, it seems like if you say, I'm going to have a big future, I'm going to have a happy future, and maybe most likely you will have a bright future. But if you say, oh, I'm going to, society is going to do this and that, and there's going to be destruction, that's what you're going to get too. And maybe that's why Hollywood is presenting these movies like the Matrix. Now, I love the Matrix. I love the Matrix. I mean, I have the CD for the Matrix 1. Isn't that the same thing? That they're saying that this event is going to be something in the future? Well, isn't it kind of coming out like that way? Isn't it? Isn't this with this these technologies? Yeah, they have tons of movies that started around the year 2000, or in this case 1999 to now. All these futuristic films about where society is headed, and society, according to these movies, I think, which is a pre-program. They're programming you to accept this lifestyle. They even have in movies that they put your, what's this movie called? There's a movie that I watched. It's a young lady is kidnapped, and they took her brain and put it in a robot. Ghost in a Shell. It's called Ghost in a Shell. Yeah, I was referred to that movie a couple of years back. And isn't that what they're trying to do now? Yeah, watch that movie also, Ghost in a Shell, where they're taking people. Yeah, it's a must watch, because everybody in that movie are getting plantables. They're putting things, devices in their arm, in their head, whatever, and you're considered real cool and advanced if you have these plantables. Isn't that what's happening now? Everybody wants to get the latest device, and they're becoming dependent on these devices, and we're becoming more detached to your neighbor, your fellow human being. You meet up with somebody, they don't want to talk to you on the phone, they just want to text you. See that? They're getting you accustomed to not feel comfortable around people, but you can only interact using a device like texting. How removed it is. Yes, it could be very efficient, just want to get a quick message out, but people becoming more and more comfortable in not talking to people, and rather just protects them. I said, wow, wow. People, open your eyes. And I say this to myself. Be careful. Tell you, say, hey, what's going on? Am I becoming more comfortable with a device than a human being? We're becoming afraid of one another because we're being taught to be handicapped. We're being, it's like, it's like those experiments that happen in Germany. Those German scientists were doing, you had a lot of orphan children, and they put them in this orphanage, and they were experimenting on them to what happens to the human mind who don't get love and affection. If you put a baby in a crib, you give it food and water, but nothing else, the baby will wither mentally. But you give a baby, let's say less food and water, but you give it a lot of affection. Do you know that baby could survive and thrive? That's what reminds me what's happening with humanity. That we're existing, but we're not living. We're existing, but we are not living. And what happens also when you take a baby, don't give it love, but you give it food and water. When it becomes an adult, if it reaches adulthood, young adulthood, it's antisocial and has severe developmental delays and retardation. It cannot socially work in society. It is permanent. It becomes permanent. So now, get people as hooked on these devices as early as possible so they cannot relate to human beings but other computers. They become anti-social with other people and is attached to a computer. Do not get these implantables. Do not get the jibby jab. Don't get it. Don't get any of these foreign things in your body. Try to, I like going to the park every day if I can. I bring my dogs because it makes you feel good. If it's safe for you to do so, try to get out in nature. Breathe in that good air. Because you have to keep your humanity. They want you to forget your personal humanity. And they're tricking you to focus on your ancestry. Your ancestors are in the grave. They cannot help you. We have to help ourselves. Start loving your children. You have children at home. Start loving your children. Tell them that you love them. Give them a nice big hug. Take them out for walks. They're going to remember that. Taking those beautiful walks in nature. Have a nice salad for the body. Nice fruit and vegetables. Try to grow your own. If you have your own property, maybe grow your own. Little fruits and veggies in your garden at home. It's to do so it's just to attach you to real life. Don't become artificial. Don't. Respect your body. Respect your mind. Respect your life. And see that you are part of something greater. This planet. It's a beautiful planet. Yeah. Stay away from those drugs. They want you to get involved with these drugs now. They want you to do the marijuana now so it can take over your mind. Don't do it, people. Beware of these free gifts. Be careful, okay? Yeah, I see I've been on for a while, people. I hope you enjoy this live stream and I hope it makes sense to you. Be careful. All what you see is by design, I feel, with these uh, people on social media, these semi famous people or famous people out there. It's to affect your mind. Get out there and breathe in some of that fresh air. Enjoy what you have. Enjoy your life, people. Okay? So, this is Spirit Journey. And those of you who like this content and want to support this channel, you can do so by PayPaling me. Just enter my channel, Spirit Journey, and on the top right of the banner of my channel, you'll see my PayPal me link. Just click on the link and follow the prompt. And any amount would be greatly appreciated. And I appreciate you in advance. Okay? I appreciate you and I thank you in advance. Peace, love, joy, and power be on to the listener and viewer of this live stream. Yeah, me and my little doggy woggy, we tell you, thank you, okay? So take care and enjoy your day. Bye bye.